What's good? It's Illa the producer, and you tune in to Hot New Hip Hop. I'm about to break down Lucky You by Eminem. Before I started producing, I was actually in the street hustling. You know what I'm saying? My first big moment that got me really into the studio, not the street, was Fat Joe. Fat Joe's my OG, he's my mentor, and he was the first person to believe in my music. So yeah, Fat Joe was, is a mentor of mine. He's definitely my OG. And the first big song I got placed was Yellow Tape by Fat Joe. And he did that with Lil Wayne, A$AP Rocky, and French Montana. I started producing on, like, my MPC was the first piece of production equipment I ever had, because I seen a lot of cats using the computers, but I always had a thing for hardware. So I had an MPC, I had a couple different keyboards. I was collecting gear at one point. I even had a Roland 808, you know what I'm saying? TR-808, the original vibe. But times got hard, I had to sell that vibe. So yeah, I started out on an MPC, and then my baby mama actually got me Logic one year. And after that, I never touched the MPC again. It's still in my garage collecting dust right now. So ever since then, I've been on Logic. My sound right now, it's changed over the years, but right now my sound is like these gritty horror movie type beats, really like piano driven, a lot of them, because no matter what, anywhere you go, is the lights could cut out. A piano and a guitar are still gonna work. So that's where my mentality is with it right now. So it's pianos, and then of course the hard hitting drums. I was in Orlando actually with my family, because my daughter's up in Orlando going to school, so I take time out whenever I'm not in Miami. In the studio, I go to Orlando and just unwind, just have family time. So M hit me for some beats, so I was up in Orlando and I had some piano samples and I was just cooking up. So Lucky You came from that batch of beats. It was around January of this year. My relationship with Eminem started with my brother Fresher from Brooklyn. Shout out Fresher. I did his biggest record to date, Wait a Minute. And that was one of M's favorite records. He heard Royce and everybody did a remix to it. The whole industry did a remix to it. And M heard Royce's and M really liked it or loved it. And he was like, yo, what's that? What beat is that? He's like, oh, this is my man, this is that dude Fresher's song. Everybody killing it, so I had to do my version. So then M found Fresher, and then once he found Fresher, he asked who did the beat, and then Fresher was like, oh, it's my man Illa. And from there, the rest been history. I actually haven't been in the studio with M. Fresher got to go in the studio with him, but I was on tour at that time, and all our stuff is done over email. I just send him packs of beats tailor-made for him, and he'd be like, all right, Illa, put those to the side, and then, of course, they ain't going nowhere else. I knew he was gonna use it about a month before it dropped. Okay. But with M, he drops when he wants to. I didn't know, I thought it was gonna drop maybe December, or maybe December of next year, or summer or something like that, because we just dropped Revival in December of last year. So I was like, he ain't gonna drop nothing this year that quick. My lawyer sent me the paperwork, and it was 4 songs. I'm like, what? Like, all of these? Like, yeah. And at one point, it was looking like it was just gonna be an EP with just all my music on it. So I was like bugging out, and I didn't tell nobody about this. You could ask my people's Cool and Dre, whose studio I work at in Miami. Nobody knew about it. They didn't know about it. My man Kent Jones that I'm with every day, he didn't know about it. My mom, my girl, nobody knew about it. I just kept it secret, you know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't even believe it myself. Oh man, I remember it was August 31st, and I'll never forget that day, because earlier the day I saw something on Paul's Instagram or Twitter saying Venom, and then I saw it on M's page too, like they were gonna drop something for this movie. I'm like, oh, that's dope. So he's working. I knew he was working, but I was like, all right, so he's warming them up for something. That's dope. So that night at midnight, I was out back smoking, and I see on my feed, the Eminem drops the Venom song. So I'm like, okay, let me go check this out. Let me see. And for some reason, I went on iTunes, right? I'm like, let me check it out on iTunes, because I know it probably ain't gonna be on YouTube or nothing like that, because M is like professional, like you're not getting his shit tight, you know what I'm saying? So I go on iTunes, and then it's a whole project. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I'm like, this is a whole project. And I see one of the songs is the song that they sent in my paperwork. I was like, I dropped my joint, everything. I'm like, I ain't even press play. I double back. And I'm like, all right, this can't be happening right now. So then I went on M's page, and he said, try not to overthink this one. That was the quote. And it said KAMIKAZE. I'm like, oh, he really dropped an album. So right then I went back to iTunes and hit play, and it was The Ringer, the first song. And I heard my tag, and man, listen, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about that. Man, emotions is high right now, man. First of all, shout out Hnhhh Hip Hop. I came up today to do the breakdown of my part of Lucky You. I woke up this morning, and it was Grammy nominated. So I get to New York, and I'm officially a Grammy-nominated producer for the song that I'm about to break down. So like I said, I was in Orlando going through my samples, and I had a piano sample that I knew that he would fuck with, just from, you know, that's what I felt like he would fuck with. So this is what it sounded like. So right away, I was like, all right, I love the sound of that. So I just chopped it up and put it into my sampler on Logic. Next thing I did was I opened up my sampler. I chopped it at the transients that I liked, and just so I can have more freedom to mess with it. So once I chopped it up, I was able to just put it through the keys and once I got that, and I was able to just have more freedom with it, I tried like 3 or 4 different arrangements, you know, because I had it chopped up. So once I got it chopped up, I laid it down in my program, but then I noticed it was too slow. So what I ended up doing was just bouncing out the arrangement I had chopped up into audio, and then I just time flexed it. Time flex is just taking something and you could slow it down or speed it up, however you feel like. So I ended up, the original was like around 110, 120, and I wanted it to move a lot more. So I flexed it and then ended up with this. And I brought the tempo up to around 157. Yeah, you could already nod. You know what I'm saying? Before it was like it was like lounge music. So once I had it chopped like that and I had this verse part, I was like, oh, that's it. If it makes me do that, that's it. And while it's doing it, I'm just pretending to be Eminem rapping. Right? From finding the sample I wanted to use, chopping it up, putting it into Logic, then laying it out and then flexing it, it was like about an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of work. You know what I'm saying? So from there, I do my drums real fast. Yeah. The melody and stuff and the arrangement and the sequencing takes a lot longer for me. The drums, I just hear it. As I'm doing it, I hear the drums. I had this dope snare sample I found in Big Head, the dude who did Gucci Man. I got his drum kit and he had this dope rim shot. So I used that for the snare on an Eminem song. So once I had the kick, the snare, and the piano, next thing I did was the hi-hat. So for the hi-hats, I didn't play the hi-hats like I did the kick and the snare through MIDI. I just had my hi-hats that I liked and I drag them in on the grid. That was the first hi-hat. Then I have some rolls. So that's 3 so far, then I added another one. You know what I mean? Little subtle things like that. So on the B section, there's another hi-hat that comes in between everything else to give it more of a bounce, and then I added an open hi-hat as well. So this is the B section of the beat. It's on the downbeat. And it's a little lower than the other ones, so it gives it a bounce. Now your head is like, I'm in the house like, okay, yeah, that's it. I like to have fun when I'm making my beats, man. You know, I don't like boring, mundane shit. That's why I became a producer. That and I ain't making no other nigga rich. Fuck that.